Well, thank you so much, Delaney. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Emma and Jasmine, for all your great work, and thanks to our community partners. So just so excited to have everybody here. And please, if you have any questions, just throw them in the chat. But a couple things that I wanted to follow up with is, as I mentioned, we're doing 100 meetings. We're nearing midway with that. Delaney mentioned this earlier, that we've been learning every time. So we learned from the pilot that, oh, that was a long meeting. How do we tighten that up? What's relevant to women? Where do we really want to spend our time in these convenings? And how do we best improve? So we're always looking for improvements, always suggestions. And our main goal with 100 Rural Women is, how do we best serve rural women? How can we find out how we can, find out what women need, what will be helpful, and how do we build programming around that? So I just want to talk a little bit about end products that we're going to have coming. Not end, but end of this phase, I should say, because it's a continual process. But we are going to have an interactive online story map. We were trying to think about, oh my gosh, we have all this data, all this information. How can we best display this and lay this out so it's manageable and so people can learn about what we have been doing? And Delaney, do you want to explain a little bit what an interactive story map is going to look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's becoming a kind of a more prominent thing, and sometimes news stories or ways that you share data, that it's going to kind of act like an online website that you can scroll through, and it's going to allow you to really see more nuanced data. We're going to be able to provide a lot more quotes. We're going to be able to provide a lot more data, especially on kind of those numbers, those requests. So you can look at specific things that, when they're requesting communication, what are some of those exact things, whether they were public speaking skills, dialogue, holding and hosting Zoom webinars, for example, and understanding and gaining some of those skills. It's just going to be a way for you, or for those who are interested, or someone you think that might be interested in this data, to share the data and then be able to kind of scroll through and see it all at once, instead of you just being handed piles of spreadsheets. It's going to be able to kind of navigate and walk you through it in a much cleaner and, I think, more enjoyable way for you.
Yeah, and I think the other beauty of our relationship with our university partners is we have access through Cura to GIS. So we have a good partner there where we're really going to be able to leverage those amazing resources at the University of Minnesota. We'll also be publishing an executive summary that will really highlight what we've learned to date. Requests, as Delaney said, my whole idea when I started 100 and 100 was going to be 100 meetings, 100 days, 100 ideas, and gosh, we're over 1,000. So that's very, very exciting. And the beauty of those requests is that's what's going to drive our next 50. What is it where we can, provide information that can really help? So that's sort of what's next. But I do want to just jump in and show you also, and identify too, when you look in the chat here, Kathy, I love your, on the last quotation, you would say, because women are very often held to a higher standard when it comes to leadership, it's often assumed that only perfect women need to apply. So, oh my gosh, that is so true. And Becky, I love what you just shared, but it's like, oh my gosh, we could all look back and think, oh my gosh, I should have done something different. But that's the beauty of all this getting together, is we can share with that. And for Becky and I too, I just think Becky and I worked together years ago at the legislature when she was a legislator, and it's what we can give back now and share. Oh my gosh, you would not believe what I did, but don't do that. But anyway, so really excited. And as you can see, please keep watching the chat and see what folks are putting in. Jackie, do you want to unmute and tell us a little bit about your organization? Oh, Jackie just sent that to me. Sorry about that. Jackie Engmark is with the Minnesota chapter of National Association of Women Business Owners. And that's another organization that we want to better connect with, because when we look at our data of who came in, we're one of the great things about it is like, oh, here's an area we need to grow. Here's where we need to figure out how to engage more women. Just like when Maria's comment earlier in the chat, it's like, what about women who are raising their family, volunteering, working home, doing all those pieces? How do we better connect? So we're always looking for those connections into different organizations and different ways to connect with rural women. Yeah, and I just think it is that whole standard with men also. I Maria's comment here that women are held to a different standard than men. I encounter men whose lack of confidence prevents them from valuing a woman who projects confidence and will present her case and conviction. So these are all such amazing pearls of wisdom, everybody. I really, really appreciate that. When we think about what's next, as I mentioned, we have a lot of data. We're still in the process of rolling it up. And we're excited to figure out how to best share that data. Starting in 2022, we'll be hosting 50 more interactive virtual gatherings around topics and issues that were identified from our first 50 meetings. And we will stay virtual with those. COVID, as we mentioned earlier, had a huge impact on all of our lives and really forced us into that virtual space. But one of the things we also learned was that virtual space, as we saw on the slides today, and have learned in the data, has removed a lot of barriers for women also. So that whole piece of being able to connect like we haven't been able to connect before, trying to figure out how to make the most of that. So I just want to make sure that folks know that everything we talked about today will be on the website. We'll have the chat, all that will be accessible to you. With 100 Rural Women, look for more information to come on our meetings that will kick up starting in 2022. A couple other things I want to share is that we have a book group that also started because of COVID. It was like, oh my gosh, what can we do to better connect women besides webinars? So we started a virtual book group that is the second Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m. And it's a lot of fun. Terry Foley, our board chair, is like a book group guru and has really helped us select books for the first year. And we are nonfiction one month, fiction the next month. And I, as well as the majority of the people in that book group, have never been in a book group because I could never commit to being same place, same time, and having my homework done. And the beauty of this group is just join when you can if you like the book, and don't worry if you don't have the book read because everybody's got busy lives. And this month, we are reading The Seed Keeper by Diane Wilson, who's a Minnesota author. So check her out. We read women authors that either are from rural, focus rural, right about rural. So that's a program that we have. And we've really gotten to engage with a lot of the women that we've met through our convenings have joined our book group. So please join. That's always out on the website. And then another thing that we have going on that's sort of a sneak preview that's going to be launching and you're going to hear more about in 2022 is we're going to be working. We just found out that we are going to be part of a capstone project, again, thanks to our partners at the University of Minnesota at the Humphrey Institute. And we have three graduate students who are going to be working with us to build a network, a mentorship network of 100 rural elected women. And that will be current rural elected women and former rural elected women to really mentor 100 new people going into public service. So we're really excited about that. I want to thank our Blandon Foundation is a supporter of these 100 meetings and of that initiative. So we're really excited to get moving on that piece of that program. But I'm trying to think one thing that that came up to me privately as a question. Sorry, I thought it came out to everybody. When do you see the story map being ready for publication? Delaney, do you have a thought around that?
Yeah, we're planning to start incorporating it after we finish our last few transcripts. The data we were presenting today was sampled from the largest focus groups we had in each region. So I would say hopefully December, January is a good timeline of having that out. But as Teresa loves to say, you're here, so you're on our listserv. So you'll definitely get notified once it's ready. Do not worry. But that's, I think, a timeline that we're working within.
Right. And I just saw in the chat too, Marcy and Jean, who are former elected county commissioners, are in on the mentorship and we'll be recruiting. I saw a couple other electeds, former electeds for sure on here, Becky Laurie, and there's a couple current electeds on here too. So that is something that Emma is working on. Emma is on a huge part of this project where she is in the process of identifying every woman that's serving in elected office. And it's a project that we wanted to do, and we were trying to figure out how to do it. And at one of our last meetings, Kathy Tone from Laconia shared with us the work that she was doing on that project. And we were able to meet with Kathy and do some takeaways, not doing the deep dive that she's doing in her county right now, but doing something statewide. So that will really be a good basis for our graduate students to come in and start doing interviews with elected women. So it's very exciting. And I know we're getting close on time here. I just want to echo what Linda mentioned earlier. And Emma, if you wouldn't mind throwing the Mary Page an opportunity in the website, we're really, or in the chat, pardon me, we're really fortunate to be partnered with the University of Minnesota to raise funds to support our students. So the students that you see here today are all here because of that Mary Page Fund. So we are in the middle of a drive right now. So it would be great if folks can consider contributing. And I think we all know that it's great to do convenings and tell your stories, but if you don't have data and research and findings to best tell our story of what rural women's needs are and how we can better support each other, you don't get too far. So that's one thing that's really critical for the operation of our organization, is to make sure that we can build a pipeline to these incredible students. And the other beauty of young students is they push our boundaries, and they help us think through we might have done it that way, but think about it this way. So that's always good for me, just to think about that. But does anybody have any other questions? If not, we can sort of wrap it up here. And I know that we pushed a lot out today, and we just wanted to give you a sense of what we learned and what we're learning, and how we're going to move forward. But we'll follow up with everyone, get you information, check out the website, and we'll do a definite follow-up to give you all those links. But just want to appreciate everyone taking time today. I know schedules are just horrendous for people. So thank you so much. I think we'll probably give that a wrap then. So thanks so much, everyone.